Have you ever experienced moments in life when everything seems to fall apart? When the plans you worked so hard for suddenly collapse, when relationships break down, or when you feel completely lost and alone? It's in those moments of chaos and confusion that many people begin to ask themselves a profound question. Is God really watching over me? Does He care about what I'm going through? The truth is, when God is most involved in our lives, it doesn't always come wrapped in comfort or clear answers. Sometimes His presence feels quiet, almost invisible, and other times it feels like He's allowing hardship to test us. But these experiences are often not signs of abandonment. Instead, they are powerful indications that God is paying very close attention to you. In fact, some of the most difficult seasons in life are the very times when God is working behind the scenes to guide, shape, and prepare you for something greater. He may be breaking down old structures, opening new doors, or simply teaching you lessons you need to grow. Recognizing these signs can bring peace and hope, even when the road ahead looks uncertain. Over the next few moments, we will explore 4 clear signs that show when God is truly involved in your life. These signs may surprise you because they don't always come as blessings in the way we expect. Yet, they reveal a loving God who is deeply invested in your journey and who has a purpose for every trial you face. If you've ever wondered whether your struggles have meaning or if God is aware of your pain, this message is meant to encourage and inspire you. Because sometimes, the very fact that life feels difficult is the first sign that God is paying special attention to you. When your life is turned upside down, it may be divine intervention. Life doesn't always follow the plans we make. Sometimes, it feels like everything we've built suddenly falls apart. A job you depended on disappears overnight. A relationship you trusted shatters unexpectedly. Your health fails you, or your hopes and dreams slip beyond reach. In those moments, it's natural to feel lost, overwhelmed, and even abandoned. We ask ourselves, why is this happening? Has God forgotten me? Is He really watching? But what if I told you that these moments, these upheavals and uncertainties, are actually signs that God is paying attention to you? What if the chaos you are experiencing right now is not a punishment, nor a random tragedy, but a form of divine intervention designed to redirect your path towards something greater? The mystery of divine disruption. Throughout history, people of faith have recognized that sometimes God allows our lives to be shaken not to break us, but to wake us up. Divine disruption is a concept that may sound frightening at first, but it is deeply purposeful. The stories of the Bible offer many examples where God intervened in the lives of His people through trials and upheavals, moments that seemed like curses but turned out to be blessings in disguise. Take the story of Job, for instance. Job was a man described as blameless and upright, someone who feared God and shunned evil. Yet, in a short span of time, he lost his children, his health, and his possessions. It was a devastating trial. But through this pain, Job's faith was tested and refined. In the end, his story teaches us that sometimes suffering serves as a crucible for spiritual growth. It reminds us that even when life feels unbearable, God is still present and at work. When control slips away, one of the hardest things about life's disruptions is the feeling of losing control. We want to plan, to manage, to predict what comes next. But the moment everything falls apart, we realize how fragile our sense of security really is. This loss of control can be terrifying. Yet, paradoxically, it can also be the first step towards surrender and transformation. When God is truly leading you, He often calls you to release your grip on your own plans. This doesn't mean giving up or being passive. Rather, it means acknowledging that your understanding is limited and trusting that there is a bigger picture you cannot yet see. This surrender opens a space in your heart for God's guidance. In the midst of your turmoil, you may begin to sense that your suffering has a purpose. You might feel an inner tug toward change, growth, or a new direction, something beyond what you had imagined for yourself. These feelings are often subtle but powerful signs that God is actively working in your life, even through the difficulties. Signs that your life's upheaval is divine intervention. How can you tell that your current struggles are not simply bad luck or misfortune, but a sign of God's attention and intervention? Here are some key indicators. Unexpected doors closing. Have you experienced opportunities or relationships suddenly ending without clear reasons? While painful, These closures often protect us from paths that are not meant for us. When one door shuts, it may feel like a loss, but it's also a way God redirects your steps towards something better. Heightened awareness and reflection. During hard times, many people report a deepened sense of self-awareness. You may start asking bigger questions about your purpose, your values, and your faith. This spiritual awakening is a sign that God is nudging you to grow beyond your previous limits. Moments of peace amidst the storm. Though everything seems chaotic around you, there can be an inexplicable calm within, a quiet peace that surpasses understanding. This peace is a spiritual confirmation that God is present, sustaining you through the storm. Support from unexpected places. Sometimes, when you least expect it, help arrives. It could be a word of encouragement from a stranger, a timely opportunity, or a new friendship that changes everything. These interventions often show how God orchestrates events in your favor. The purpose behind the pain. Why would God allow hardship in the first place? This question is at the heart of many people's struggles with faith. While we may never fully understand God's reasons, the scriptures and the experiences of believers across generations point towards several key purposes for divine trials. Refining character. Just as gold is refined by fire, our character is shaped by adversity. Challenges teach us patience, resilience, humility, and compassion. Redirecting paths. Sometimes the life we envision isn't the life God has planned for us. Trials can redirect us toward a purpose aligned with His will. Deepening faith. When all else fails, faith becomes our anchor. Difficult seasons invite us to lean on God more deeply and experience His presence in new ways. Preparing for greater blessings. Often, after a period of testing comes a season of growth, opportunity, and blessing that would not have been possible otherwise. Embracing the journey. If your life feels turned upside down right now, I want to encourage you not to despair. This may be a sacred moment of divine intervention. Instead of resisting the change, try to open your heart and mind to what God may be doing beneath the surface. Begin by embracing uncertainty as a spiritual invitation. Allow yourself to feel the pain, but don't lose hope. Seek God in prayer, meditation, or quiet reflection. Listen for His voice in small signs and moments of peace. Remember that no one is ever truly alone in their struggles. Even when it feels like God is silent, He is there, working through your circumstances, teaching you, and preparing you for the next chapter. Your current pain is not the end of your story. It may be the very moment God begins writing something new and beautiful in your life. Closing thoughts. In conclusion, when your life is turned upside down, don't immediately assume you are forgotten or forsaken. Instead, consider that these disruptions may be God's way of paying close attention to you, challenging you, refining you, and guiding you toward a greater purpose. Be patient with yourself and with God's timing. Keep your faith alive even in the darkest hours. The very fact that your world feels shaken could be the most profound sign that God is near and working powerfully in your life. When you start yearning for something greater than yourself, there comes a time in many people's lives when the ordinary no longer satisfies the soul. When the daily routine, the achievements, and even the comforts of life feel hollow and unfulfilling. It's as if a quiet voice inside begins to whisper, there must be more. There has to be a deeper purpose. This yearning, this hunger for something greater than ourselves, is one of the most profound signs that God is paying attention to you. The stirring of the soul. This inner longing often starts subtly. Maybe you notice a growing dissatisfaction with material success or social approval. Perhaps you find yourself asking questions that don't have easy answers. Why am I here? What is the meaning of my life? Am I living in alignment with my true purpose? These questions reveal a soul awakening, a spiritual stirring that points to a deeper reality beyond the surface of daily life. The Bible speaks to this profound hunger. In the Psalms, David cries out, "As the deer pants for streams of water, so my soul pants for you, my God." This poetic image captures the deep thirst our spirits have for connection with the divine. When you start feeling this thirst, it means that God is gently calling you to a closer relationship with Him. Discontent as a gift. While feeling restless or discontented can be uncomfortable, it is important to recognize it as a gift rather than a curse. This dissatisfaction can serve as a spiritual compass, pointing you toward growth and transformation. Many people spend years chasing after goals that ultimately leave them empty. The pursuit of money, fame, or status rarely fills the deepest needs of the heart. When God is working in your life, He often allows you to feel this emptiness so you can turn away from false idols and false hopes and start seeking what truly satisfies. This spiritual hunger is the beginning of awakening, a sign that you are being prepared for a new season of purpose and meaning. Signs you are experiencing a spiritual awakening. How do you know if this longing is part of God's work in your life? Here are some signs to watch for. Questions that won't go away. You find yourself repeatedly asking life's big questions. They may disturb your comfort, but push you to seek deeper truth. A desire to serve others. You begin to feel compassion for others and a desire to make a positive difference in the world. This reflects God's heart and His desire to work through you. Increased awareness of spiritual matters. Things that once seemed unimportant now capture your attention. Prayer, meditation, scripture, or conversations about faith. A sense of restlessness paired with hope. You feel unsettled but also hopeful, sensing that this season of searching is leading to something meaningful. God's invitation to purpose. This longing for more is more than just a feeling. It is an invitation. God calls each of us to a life that goes beyond self-centered ambitions. He invites us into a partnership with Him, a chance to live out a purpose that impacts others and glorifies Him. In the New Testament, Jesus often calls people to follow me. This call is an invitation to leave behind old ways and embrace a new identity and mission. When you sense this pull in your life, it is God reaching out, wanting to align your desires with His divine plan. Overcoming doubts and fears. Answering this call is not always easy. The yearning for something greater can be accompanied by fear. Fear of change, fear of failure, or fear of the unknown. It's natural to hesitate when stepping into unfamiliar territory. But remember, God does not call us to walk alone. He promises to be with us every step of the way. When you feel fear creeping in, remind yourself of this truth. God's strength is made perfect in our weakness. Your doubts and fears are not signs that you should stop. They are opportunities to trust God more deeply. Practical steps to embrace this yearning. If you find yourself yearning for something greater, here are some practical ways to respond. Spend time in reflection. Set aside quiet moments to listen to your inner voice and to God's guidance. Engage in prayer or meditation. Open your heart in conversation with God, expressing your desires, fears, and questions. Seek community. Connect with others who share your spiritual journey for support and encouragement. Take small steps of faith. Act on the promptings you receive, even if they seem small or uncertain. Read and learn. Explore spiritual texts and teachings that can deepen your understanding and faith. The promise of transformation. This period of yearning and searching is the beginning of transformation. When God stirs your soul, He is preparing you for a new chapter filled with purpose and fulfillment. The restlessness you feel today will eventually give way to peace as you discover your place in God's plan. Remember, no great journey begins without a first step of faith. Your desire for something greater is a precious sign that God is inviting you into a richer, more meaningful life. Closing encouragement. In closing, if you are feeling this hunger for something beyond yourself, take heart. You are not alone, and this yearning is not meaningless. It is a sacred sign that God is near, calling you to listen, to seek, and to step forward in faith. Embrace this season of awakening as a gift. Allow your soul to thirst, knowing that God promises to satisfy those who seek Him. Your journey towards something greater has already begun. When doors close to open better ones. One of the most painful and confusing moments in life is when a door you desperately wanted to stay open suddenly slams shut. You didn't expect the rejection. You didn't plan for the layoff. You didn't see the relationship falling apart. It's easy to feel lost, angry, or even betrayed, especially when you had poured your heart into something, believing it was meant to be. But what if I told you that a closed door may be one of the clearest signs that God is working in your life? The divine no is still an answer. We often interpret silence or denial as God ignoring our prayers, but that's not always the case. Sometimes, God says no or not now because He sees what we cannot. He knows what lies ahead, and what needs to be removed from your path so you can walk into the future He has prepared for you. A closed door is not always a punishment. It can be protection. It can be redirection. It can even be preparation. Think about it. If every door remained open, you might never move forward. You might stay stuck in relationships that limit you, jobs that drain you, or environments that slowly dim your light. A closed door, while painful in the moment, might be the very thing that saves you from greater pain down the road. Biblical examples of closed doors. The Bible is full of stories where God closed doors, only to open greater ones later. One powerful example is the story of Joseph. Sold into slavery by his brothers, falsely accused, and imprisoned, every chapter of his life looked like a closed door. Yet, through all of it, God was positioning him to become second in command of Egypt and save an entire nation from famine. If Joseph had not experienced those closed doors, he would never have arrived at his divine destiny. Even Paul, one of the most influential figures in Christianity, encountered closed doors. In Acts 16, Paul tried to enter several regions to preach the gospel, but the Holy Spirit prevented him. At the time, he might have felt frustrated. But eventually, God opened a door for him to go to Macedonia, an open door that would change the course of history and spread the gospel further than ever before. Recognizing the signs of a God-closed door. Not all closed doors are from God, but many are. So how do you recognize when a door has been closed by divine design rather than by random circumstance? Here are a few signs. You've done everything you can, and it still falls apart. When you've given your best, prayed, planned, worked hard, and yet things still unravel, it may be a sign that God is stepping in to redirect you. You feel an inner resistance you can't ignore. Even before the door closes, you may feel unrest or discomfort in your spirit. That's often God's way of nudging you out of something that no longer serves His purpose in your life. New possibilities begin to appear elsewhere. Sometimes, as one opportunity ends, others you never considered begin to emerge. It's a subtle but powerful confirmation that God is guiding your steps. The closed door brings unexpected clarity. After the initial pain, many people report a sense of peace or even relief. In hindsight, they realize the door needed to close for them to grow, heal, or move forward. Letting go with faith. One of the hardest things to do is to let go of something you wanted so badly. Whether it's a career, a dream, or a person, it hurts. But real faith is trusting God even when the door stays shut. It's believing that what He has ahead is not just different, but better. Letting go doesn't mean you failed. It means you are courageous enough to release what no longer aligns with your purpose. It means you are making room for something greater. Remember what Isaiah 43 verse 19 says, "See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it?" God is always doing something new, but sometimes we are so focused on the closed door that we miss the one He just opened. The better door. So, what does a better door look like? It may not be bigger, flashier, or more impressive from the outside, but it will be more aligned with who you are becoming. It will bring deeper peace, greater purpose, and more impact. The better door leads you into a space where your gifts are needed, where your voice is valued, and where your soul feels at home. Sometimes, God doesn't open the better door immediately. He might first lead you into a hallway of waiting. This in-between season is hard, but it's holy. It's where you are prepared, refined, and strengthened so that when the next door opens, you're ready to walk through it with boldness. Trusting the process. In the moment a door closes, trust is your anchor. Trust that God sees the whole picture. Trust that His timing is perfect. Trust that your worth is not tied to what didn't work out. Many people who once grieved a closed door now look back with gratitude. They realize that what felt like rejection was actually divine redirection. They see how much better their lives became because of that one door that didn't open. And one day, you'll say the same. Closing encouragement. If you're standing in front of a closed door right now, take heart. This is not the end. It may be the very moment God is guiding you towards something more meaningful than you ever imagined. Don't waste your energy trying to force doors that God has already locked. Instead, look for the light coming from the next door. Pay attention to the new opportunities, the unexpected invitations, the growing clarity in your soul. Every closed door carries a message. God is with you. He's working, and He has more in store. Let go with peace. Wait with hope. and walk through the next open door with faith. When you begin to change from the inside out, there's a transformation that cannot be explained by logic alone. It's not triggered by external achievements, nor is it the result of mere motivation. This kind of change begins deep within you, quiet, unannounced, and often unnoticed by others at first. But over time, it becomes undeniable. You start to think differently. You respond to life with more peace. You let go of things that once controlled you. This is not just self-improvement. It is a spiritual shift, a divine awakening, a sign that God is not just near, but actively working within you. The quiet revolution of the soul. Unlike changes brought on by external pressure, spiritual transformation happens gently. You don't wake up one morning with a halo or superhuman wisdom. Instead, you begin to see the world with new eyes. You become more aware of your thoughts, more careful with your words, and more intentional with your actions. Your values shift. Things that once thrilled you no longer satisfy. You begin to seek peace over popularity, truth over comfort, purpose over pleasure. These are not small adjustments. They are signals that something sacred is unfolding inside you. This inward change is not something you can manufacture. It doesn't come from reading one book or attending a weekend retreat. It's the result of divine presence, of God gently reshaping you from the inside out. A new heart, a renewed mind. In the Bible, Ezekiel 36 verse 26 contains one of the most powerful promises of inner transformation. I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. This is not poetic exaggeration. This is a divine promise. When God begins to work in you, He doesn't just polish the outside. He replaces your heart of stone with a heart of flesh, a heart that feels, loves, and lives differently. And as your heart changes, so does your mind. Romans 12 verse 2 reminds us, do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Suddenly, the lies you once believed about yourself, your worth, your future, begin to lose power. In their place, truth takes root. You no longer react out of fear, but out of faith. You no longer carry shame, but walk in grace. Signs of inner transformation. How do you know when you're truly changing from the inside out? It's not about perfection, it's about progress. Here are a few key signs. You begin to forgive more easily. What used to take months of bitterness now takes moments of reflection. You realize that holding on to offense is a prison, and forgiveness is freedom. Your reactions slow down. Instead of reacting impulsively, you pause. You reflect. You respond with wisdom, not just emotion. You seek purpose over popularity. The need to impress others fades. You become more focused on living a life of meaning rather than chasing approval. You feel drawn to quiet and clarity. The noise of the world loses its appeal. You find peace in silence, solitude, and sincere connection with God. You desire what is right, not just what feels good. Temptations still exist, but they no longer dominate you. Your desires begin to align with higher values. The role of struggle in transformation. Interestingly, this kind of transformation often comes through pain, loss, heartbreak, failure, or even long seasons of waiting. These are the furnaces where God refines us. As C.S. Lewis once said, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts in our pains. Pain has a way of stripping away distractions and bringing you face to face with what truly matters. In suffering, your soul is stretched. Your faith is tested. But most importantly, your character is shaped. And that shaping is part of the divine plan. What feels like breaking may actually be building. God often uses the very things that wounded you to awaken something sacred within you. Your healing begins the moment you stop asking, why is this happening to me? And start asking, God, what are you trying to show me through this? Living from the inside out. When this transformation takes root, it begins to show, slowly but surely. People may start to notice that you carry yourself differently. You become a source of peace in chaotic environments. You offer grace when others expect judgment. You show love where others bring anger. And you begin to attract people not because of what you have, but because of who you are becoming. Living from the inside out means that your identity no longer depends on external validation. You're no longer chasing your worth, you're walking in it. You begin to live not to impress, but to bless. And that kind of life leaves a lasting impact on the world around you. Protecting the transformation. When you start to change from the inside out, you'll face resistance. Old habits will try to return. Negative voices will try to pull you back. People may even criticize your growth because it disrupts their comfort. But don't be discouraged. Transformation is not about never falling. It's about rising every time you do. Surround yourself with people who speak life into your journey. Stay connected to truth. Protect your progress with prayer, discipline, and intentional choices. Above all, be patient with yourself. God is not done with you yet. Final encouragement. If you're starting to feel different, if you're noticing a quiet change in your thoughts, your reactions, your desires, celebrate it. That change is not just self-awareness. It's spiritual awakening. It's a sign that God is not only watching you, He is living in you. And once God begins a good work in you, He promises to complete it. So embrace this journey. Don't rush it. Don't minimize it. Allow yourself to grow, to evolve, to rise. Because when God changes you from the inside out, He's not just making you better, He's making you new.